and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 528 for the week of December 20th, 2021. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Brock Sager.
Kevin.
And Scott.
Scott's back. Hello, Scott.
Hello.
You're here for our very special Spider-Man. What was this one?
No Way Home.
No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home. They got to stop with the home names.
Homecoming,
I can't keep them straight.
Far From Home, No Way Home.
No Way Home. Up front, Spider-Man No Way Home will be about the only thing we talk about. There will be some talk about Hawkeye. There will be spoilers for everything. We will be as spoiler light in the intro as possible, but it is pretty hard to talk about this movie in any way without spoiling, without like kind of confirming or not confirming spoiler stuff. So I always like to do a little bit of a non-spoiler intro to sort of take the temperature of the movie and what we all think. But this is going to be a little bit more tricky. I find this one's pretty difficult to talk about without massive spoilers. So just if you have not seen Spider-Man and you've not seen Hawkeye, you may want to skip this episode, come back later when you watch it. Because especially after our first 10 minutes or so, we're going to pretty much spoil everything. Not a ton of comic news anyway. It's end of the year. It's kind of not a ton. We will more than likely not record an episode next week because it'll be like the day after Christmas and just nothing, whatever. But January 3rd, again, should be our end of year episode. So we'll talk all about our favorite comic movies, comic TV shows, of course, comic books of 2021 and other related comic book goodness from the past year.
Those comic movie and TV show lists should have a lot of variety. It should be a fun year.
A lot of stuff this year for the most part. Yeah, compared to 2020, it wasn't much. It was just a question of whether Bloodshot made Brock's top two list or not. So,
right.
I just needed Kevin to give me a full, complete list of all the TV and movie comic related stuff, and then I can work from there because I've consumed so much content again.
I'll put a list up on the Facebook group. We have a couple weeks. So we're going to do our non-spoiler intro and quick talk about our thoughts on Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm going to do my random number generator. Let's see who's the first one to go. Nope. There we go. Oh, look at that. It wants us to start with our special guest, Scott.
Again, I like starting first. I did last time, too.
You do?
Yeah, I did last time. Just
totally.
I was completely opposite. I don't remember what he talked about.
Was it Shang-Chi or Eternals?
Shang-Chi, and I liked it. I think everybody else hated it.
Yeah.
Well, hated is too strong.
Well, I mean, maybe
I finally got to see it when it was on Disney+.
Go back and listen to the episode. I'm pretty sure you guys hated it.
Scott, give us your
My 2 cents.
Your 2 cents. Keep it spoiler light as possible.
So, I did an amazing job of not knowing anything about the movie at all. Like, I knew going in, and this is going to be a spoiler from the very first or second one, that only one bad guy was going to be in it. I knew nothing else. Zero, zip, nada. So going in and seeing quite a few surprises.
Well, I'll say, stuff we've seen in the trailers is good to talk about here.
I don't really even know what's in the trailers because I skipped them all. I did not see any trailer.
Good. Yes, I'm golf clapping for you. Welcome. Welcome.
I mean, so everything that was popped in, I was like, no way. Oh my God, my head's blowing up every time. So the story could have been the biggest piece of crap ever, and I still would have liked it because I was so happy and surprised by all the little things that are showing up. But in general, I liked it. I liked the pacing was pretty good. after being kind of snoozed on a couple, even Shang-Chi's pacing, I question a little bit at times, but I really liked it a lot. It was very fun. My nephew, who's 13, said it should win some Oscars. So he was really pumped about it. We talked about it last night. So there you go. There's from a 13-year-old, should definitely win some Oscars.
Only because I can't remember, because you saw at least Shang-Chi in the theater, but I'm pretty sure this is me and Brock's first movie back, if I'm not mistaken.
It was supposed to be my second one, but I went to try and see Eternals on Sunday night at Sunnyvale, right next to me, and I got there. I got to the ticket lady. I handed her my ticket, and she's like, "Oh, they canceled this because the sound was all messed up."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Does not want you to watch that movie.
So I'll watch Eternals in January. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
But you've been back regularly with the Omicron variant raging. You went to a traditional theater, packed opening weekend, tons of people.
I went Friday morning at 11, and it was 3/4 fill. So, I mean, Friday morning 11, it was just about what a kind of like a normal opening would be.
Yeah.
Pandemic. There was just a ton of people there. I didn't have anybody on either side of me, which was nice, but it's because I went solo because, well, who else has time in the middle of the day to go watch a movie? So,
Well, I'll tell you who has time middle of the day on a Friday to go watch a movie. That's me.
there you go.
Because I also went Friday at about 11:45. We went to go see it. But I had a friend that rented the theater. There was ended up being 10 of us, or 9 of 10 of us, 8 of us there. So 8 of us split a movie, the whole theater. It's one of the smaller screens, right? But yeah, this is my first time back, and man, the stories I've heard from people that have been in the theater. Unless I'm renting a theater for Batman and everything else, it's going to be. I'm just not doing those big public theaters for a while. I just can't. I hate it. I just hate people. I'll start doing like the Monday morning theaters or something like that. Like, I don't know what else to do because I just can't go when people are at theaters anymore.
So you hated it, but you hated the theater experience. But what did you think of the movie?
Well, what's funny about the theater experience? We went to Mercado, which longtime listeners of the podcast may remember.
Sticky floors.
The last time I went to Mercado was for the early access premiere of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 that we went with, and Kevin, and who else was there? Brock, you were there, and Charlie and Toby.
Yep.
The origin of the sticky floor review comes from if you wonder why we always talk about the floors being sticky at a movie theater, that's the horrible Mercado theater. However, unbeknownst to me, has had a complete overhaul and is now clean and recliner seats and stadium seating and like the whole like every good theater now, right? It's
wow.
I mean, eventually it could turn to shit, I suppose, but at least the seats were completely redone. The whole interior was completely redone.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very nice. Have you been there?
No, not since that.
Yeah, no, it's totally different.
That's where I went today with the kids.
Fun trivia, Ryan. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was released 3 months into the Trump presidency.
That's all downhill after that. So, yeah. So they, it was theater was nice, clean, good sound. Yeah. So not a bad theater experience, which is always good. But we'll obviously talk much more spoilers as we go on. But people listening to this podcast that have heard us talk about this for the last 6 months or so, especially as we've kind of known more about the movie, may have heard me have pretty major concerns about elements of the movie. Spider-Man yet again being a sidekick to a character, a shitty new costume. He's going to have magic powers. There's all this stuff being forced into it. There's a billion villains. Why can't it just be a normal Spider-Man movie?
You better
man, did they prove me wrong. Every fear I had was basically not correct. And I mean, I'm taking stuff from trailers. Like, I don't know what else to go by, right? I just look at what's presented in teaser footage and trailers and stuff. They may have kind of set up or teased a certain movie, but we got something completely different. I really like this movie. I thought it was very, very fun. Like you can nitpick some stuff. Like again, we'll get in some specifics as we go on. I know there's some kind of continuity stuff that doesn't quite line up, but all that aside, this was really, I think, a movie that I had everything going against it for me, but I really liked it. And like I said, it's really hard to talk about without spoilers because everything's a spoiler for this movie. It's kind of I think it's even more than like Infinity War or Endgame, which obviously has its elements that you could are big spoilers, but
everything.
Yeah, it's.
So I would now you understand why I was so shocked that I somehow missed everything.
And even I knew a lot of rumors. I surprisingly was not like straight up spoiled. I knew the rumors going in. I knew what was very likely, but as far as like a bunch of stuff was officially going to happen or no, it wasn't going to happen. Like I really didn't get spoiled. Surprisingly, I've now seen it 100 times, so I felt like people were really good maybe through like Saturday, and then just spoilers went everywhere. Like it was impossible. But yeah, we'll save obviously more specifics for after our little intro. But
I will say what made sense to me now is some of the vintage comic pricings that kind of So we'll go back to that later.
Yeah,
there you go.
Brock, I'm gonna give us here a couple of minutes. You just saw it, like you saw the most recent of all of us. You saw it this afternoon.
Yeah, I saw it 12:30 at Mercado today with my kids. It wasn't too packed. Not like theaters all weekend. Because I tried looking at Sunnyvale over the weekend and every single seat was taken up. But yeah, no. I did not get spoiled heavily on it. My roommate had told me like a couple things, but it wasn't anything that was like, oh my God, that broke the story and ruined the whole movie for me.
It's really hard to say anything without spoiling something.
Yeah. Well, and he even asked me, he's like, do you want, I'm like, I don't care. Like, no, the trailers, made me go, okay, what are they going to do? It's definitely a another Marvel team up movie. So let's see how the team up works. And I think the team up with Doctor Strange worked very well in the movie. Like the previous ones, the Marvel character that was lent over, I guess, to Sony worked very well. But I think what I was pleasantly surprised with was just how natural the story felt. And how not forced and kind of, I mean, the movie comes straight off of the heels of the last movie. And so you're not, it like doesn't miss it really a beat and you just keep going. So there wasn't really any long drawn out, like, start to the film. It was, jumped right into what happened right after everybody saw the news that, spoiler, Spider-Man is Peter Parker. But yeah, I thought they did a fantastic job with it. It was very, very well done. A character that I think is I'm glad we saw come back. But we'll talk about it later. But yeah, overall, and even my kids really, really enjoyed it. So I think this is the best Spider-Man movie of this franchise. So
It's going to win Oscars.
Oh, it'll win in Nickelodeon and MTV awards. Like,
It's going to win Oscars.
Good luck any other movie. Like,
Oh, I can't wait for Kevin's review because he is so like deadpan, like super.
Kevin hated it.
What?
He hated
it.
I actually did ask Kevin too because there's some stuff that I know kind of bugs him, and I wasn't sure if this was going to work for him or not. I'm very, very curious. I want to hear.
Oh, Kevin,
Kevin, rough talk.
Throw the hammer down, Kevin.
Like Scott, I didn't see any trailers. I knew only that one actor who reprises his role as a villain was in it. But nothing else, just the room. And I knew Doctor Strange was in it, but I didn't know if that meant one scene to set the story going or
what
significantly. But that's it. Other than that, nothing. I really liked it.
Oh.
There was a certain sense, and I think this is just inescapable, of having seen Into the Spider-Verse. There was a certain sense of kind of been there, done that in a way.
Yeah.
Even though the stories are different, the premise is kind of the same. But this was my first time. I've been going to the movies since last summer, and pretty much every week since last summer. And this is the first time I've been in something that felt like a movie from 2018 or 2019, where it's like a lot of people and there was cheering and applauding.
And gasps.
There were gasps. There was somebody sobbing like a couple rows behind me at one point.
Dude next to me crying. A guy was crying. Two girls were crying next to me.
Yeah.
I will tell you that
my kids were crying.
Stone cold faces. No noise.
Shocking.
Get out of here with your emotion and your cheering and clapping. Save that for the home viewing. When you're in a movie theater, silence.
Yeah.
So Ryan is dead inside. We understand
internally.
That's because Ryan is
old, dead inside man.
Tears to get on him.
I will say, without spoiling anything, and this will be my last comment, and you guys, having what we've talked about on this show before, can probably guess what I'm talking about, but I just won't say it for people who are completely dark. There was a cameo in this movie for a single scene that gave me the widest smile of anything in this movie.
Okay, I don't know if it's the one that
I'll tell you when we get to spoilers.
Yeah. I mean,
there was a cameo I was we kind of talked about the possibility of it a couple of weeks ago, but I just kind of brushed it off as like a vague possibility. And then when it happened, I was unbelievably joyous in that seat. I was joyous almost to the extent, not quite, Ryan, don't worry, but all in the same galaxy as the Mr. Mind cameo.
The best part is I know Kevin is picking his words very, very carefully because there is something that he could say that would reveal who this.
Yeah, but you know what? If you can go in knowing little or nothing about what the story, I mean, I'm sure people know the premise, but I mean, anything else beyond that, do it. Do yourself a favor, turn this episode off now.
And just go.
Because this is so much more fun when it can hit you with the surprises than when you go in like with a checklist of things you know are going to be there and you're just kind of counting down till you see all of them.
I would agree. I mean, man, I haven't had. I mean, usually I catch some surprises, but this was really, really fun to be like. And you're like, if you went blind like we did, it's surprise, surprise. So, I mean, it's just all throughout the movie. Like by the time the big one comes, you're like, oh, okay. That's how I felt about it. Anyway.
Yeah.
All very positive, I think.
Yep.
We're getting the specifics here. We are going to do full spoilers going forward. So you've been warned. We give you your warning. Turn off your podcast listener. Turn off your phone. unplug your earphones.
Even if you're not going to see this movie till it comes to your home screen, you should still turn this off and just give yourself that treat.
Go blind.
I think it'll be impossible.
Right, I know, but
If
you
you're
can try.
on any level of social media or like nerd stuff, but
Yeah,
and based on the box office, there's not too many people that didn't see it.
right,
So.
right.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin doesn't want people. We're spoiler territory, so Kevin doesn't want people blindsided by certain things.
Oh, blindsided. That
Yes.
was mine. That was mine.
So I gave people the spoiler warning. They had the chance to turn it off.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to. So basically, and I also hold on before we go any further. I think I said this at the top, but we'll say it here again. Hawkeye season 5, episode 5. Scott, you're caught on Hawkeye.
Episode 5 is
Last week's.
Yelena.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. No, we're
Blurry photo at the end.
Elena's in 2 of them.
Yeah.
right. She's in 5 and 6.
No, 4 and
No,
5.
4 or 5.
Okay, got it. Oh, then
And
5
most likely
is
6.
6 is this
Last
week.
week's.
6 is the one that had the big surprise for me.
No, 6 hasn't come on yet.
No.
Not coming out.
6 is out this week. It's out in 2
Oh,
days.
I thought it was over.
No, there's one more.
No.
Not one.
Oh, then yeah, that episode was badass.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because
That goes right into the okay.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this
Connected.
for real? All right.
Yes, we're spoilers hot.
Matt Murdock was
well, hold on. Before we get there, it is somewhat annoying that every rumor was correct, right? Because you want,
I heard none of them. I heard none of them.
yeah. We knew the villains, right? We knew it was.
No,
I didn't.
no, I knew Dr. Octopus, and that's it.
So, especially in the later trailers, they full on showed everyone. They were part of the press tour. They were all of it, right? So Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, Jamie Foxx as Electro. He was in some of it. I don't.
William Dafoe was in some of it.
Yeah, William Dafoe was definitely. He did a lot of press for it too. Who was Norman Osborn, Green Goblin. And these are all
The Lizard and Sandman weren't really in there.
No, Sandman was in the trailers, but I don't think he did a lot of press.
Listen,
I didn't see any of it. I'm so happy.
Right.
So
So-
happy I saw nothing.
They had the villains from Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, which is Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus, and then Amazing Spider-Man 1, which was Lizard, and Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was Electro, right?
and then they had Sandman from
And then Sandman from 3. Sorry, right. And Sandman from Spider-Man 3. So those rumors were all accurate. The Matt Murdock thing, the week prior to Hawkeye airing, they had said there was a talk with Kevin Feige that said, if we cast for Daredevil, it's going to be
Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox. I was going to say Matthew Cox. Is going to be Charlie Cox. Charlie Cox is the MCU Daredevil. And I had tweeted, well, this is a great way to shut people up because you're never going to use Daredevil in this because you're never going to acknowledge the R-rated Netflix shows on your PG-13 Disney Plus series, right, and film series. I said, but there's also the chance that Daredevil's in both Hawkeye and No Way Home within a week of each other, and I fully admit to ignoring and deleting this tweet when that happens. So he's not in Hawkeye, at least not as of this recording. He was not in episode 6 so far.
Oh my god! That I didn't even think that he actually might be in the episode.
It's just totally possible that he's going to be in episodes. He's going to be in this week's episode. But we get once I saw the Kingpin cameo at the end, even if he's not even in the next episode, even if they just save him for the Echo Show, whatever. Once I saw the Kingpin cameo, I'm like, he's totally in No Way Home. So I knew these were all there, but you don't. Oh, and obviously, Tobey Maguire and
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield. I was
Andrew
like,
Garfield.
Again, they did not do any press. They didn't do any tour. They denied.
But in the trailer, you see 3 Spider-Men. So it's like,
I didn't see it. I was like, oh,
Man, this is one giant argument to not watch trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giant argument.
What kind of happened, and I've talked with a few people about this, like COVID did a great job of making me just like, it broke me of seeing stuff opening day. It broke me of caring about spoilers. I just was like, I just don't care anymore. Like, if it's all there, cool. If it's not, it's not. Like, I hate the job of avoiding this stuff because it's easy for Scott. You're a huge comic book fan, but you don't work in the industry, right?
No, I mean,
you can easily shut this off and not know a single thing.
Yeah.
Like me and kind of Brock and kind of Kevin, it's a little harder. Like, we could really try.
Oh yeah, I could totally ignore everything if I want to.
Yeah.
Oh, like when my roommate saw it over the weekend, and he's like, "Do you want to be spoiled?" I'm like, "I don't really care." And he's like, "Matt Murdock's in it," and I'm like, "Okay, that follows in line with what the guy in Kingpin, and the fact that like I'm watching a Netflix movie, and the guy that plays Kingpin just disappears from the film halfway through it, and I'm like." Yeah, I think he got his contract pulled and he's doing stuff elsewhere.
I didn't watch Hawkeye until Saturday night.
Till after?
Yes. So I was like, yes, double win for me.
So I'd already seen Hawkeye, and I saw I'd seen Ryan's tweet and all of the rumor mill stuff, and I was like, whatever. If they have him in there, they have him in there. I don't just give just give us something good. And it's like, I think that's what I want is like, I don't care anymore about spoilers or going day one or all that stuff. I'm like, I just want a good story.
Well, and that, so I mentioned this in previous episodes where I felt like so much of the fandom now for this stuff is this really comes from like the non-comic book people, right? This comes from people that are fans of the DC or Marvel movies, not the comic books, that they care more about the post-credit scene and the cameo appearances than the actual story. And my fear in this movie was, well, maybe we'll get a bunch of multiverse nonsense and cameos and blah, 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 but that doesn't make a good movie. That doesn't make a good story. That is the one thing that I am so happy with this movie was that, no movie's perfect. There's definitely some, like I said, some continuity flaws and some things you can kind of nitpick if you want. But the heart behind this movie, I wonder if they heard from the comic people who like myself had said, we like these movies, but there's something missing. It's just not really Peter Parker, and it's not really Spider-Man. And Spider-Verse was fine enough, and I liked it well enough, but it's none of those characters are Spider-Man, so it's a little disconnected for me. I don't really care about any of them. This is Peter Parker. This is Spider-Man, and we get not only we'll obviously talk endlessly about the end of the movie, but we finally get the Marvel Universe Spider-Man here, and the background, the backstory that makes that character why he's been such a popular character for decades and decades now, and that the humanity and the kind of the fighting spirit of Peter Parker finally we get.
So what you're saying is what you're saying is absolutely true, and I think that comes from the MCU Spider-Man's introduction into the Spider-Man or into the MCU, it was through another movie, and then he got his own. But when he got his own, it was still kind of this mix. And then if you look at Homecoming, and then the Far From Home, which is tied so much heavily story-wise into what is going on in the rest of the MCU movies at the time, this is the first one that we're not attached, right? We're free from Thanos. We're free from Iron Man. We're free from all of that.
And Doctor Strange is barely in it.
No, Doctor Strange plays the part he needs to play in the film as a catalyst for what he's pushing, which is, this movie's story a little bit, and in essence, his next film. But what really happened, like you said, what happens in this movie is we get that moment where we get Peter Parker, where we get that with power comes great responsibility moment. We get that, he's out for the little guy, right? He does all of these things, but he's still at heart a kid, from
he's
Queens,
not in the
right?
Avengers. He doesn't have Tony Stark at his beck and call. He doesn't have the Iron Man armor, right? I mean, he's now Peter Parker, and you felt like that to me again through the movie, because he's on the ropes the whole time. He's fighting Doctor Strange. He's not teamed up with him. He's fighting Doctor Strange for the majority of the movie. We're trying to keep away, not fighting him like a villain, but he's like trying to keep away from him, right? And they could have just had him bouncing around the multiverse and doing all sorts of nonsense, but they bring the other characters here. They're very restricted to their kind of introduction scene and then their big final scene. He's not going on multi-day hijinks with the other Spider-Man, right? It's this very short. They're there to kind of propel him to become what he's supposed to be and show kind of a little bit, obviously again, we're full spoiler territory here, and we'll discuss more of this stuff as we go on, but the death of Aunt May being kind of this version of Uncle Ben, and the other Spider-Man kind of being like almost like sort of fill in Uncle Ben, similar sort of like a push to be better. It's finally the character that he should be, and I'm very, very happy. Now, this could be the end, right? I mean, the problem here is that we finally get Spider-Man at the end of 3 movies, and he can not play the role anymore, and we can never get another Spider-Man movie again. I mean, unlikely, but this is for now, the end. So,
yeah, but at the same point, I mean, at this point, I look at Andrew Garfield, and I'm like, you just throw him in there. He did great. You know what I mean? He was really good.
Well,
again.
So what I think I liked about it was this movie actually made me want to go watch crappy movies again.
No, you don't.
Right?
That's the thing. People were like, "Oh, we could get Amazing Spider-Man 3." No. That's the whole point of this movie.
No.
The whole point of this movie.
No, I don't. No, I'm not talking about Spider-Man 3. I'm talking about like going back and going, let me watch these movies again, because this kind of ties everything up, right? Like, and even to the point of the after credit scene where I'm like, well, okay, I'll go watch some Venom movies too. But like, I think what it is, and what I really liked about the movie was it knew everything that came before it, the problems that they had. The huge,
especially the Andrew Garfield movies.
Yeah, it's right. The eels thing was made fun of so many times. The fact that there was specifically a crane that gets destroyed at the Statue of Liberty thing, and I'm like,
I didn't think about it, but that is really funny.
Like everything that is. Like everything that everybody complained about and said we hated, right? It was
minor.
They mocked it, or they or the characters actually themselves said, "Yeah, that was stupid."
A lot of eels.
Right. A lot of like the eels, just like, man, I want to see this eel scene now. Like,
no. So people were like, oh, we want Spider-Man 4 now. We want the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4. We want the Amazing Spider-Man 3. No. The whole point of this movie, too, is to say, like, we've moved on. Those, like all the old comic shows and comic movies, like, they did their thing. It's cool to have them here. We've examined some of the problems. We've shown you these guys again. They're cool to be around, but you can't go back to that. What do you do with, you got to do another Amazing Spider-Man movie? What's the point? Like the character, its character has moved on. I liked Andrew Garfield when those movies came out. I mean, I think at least maybe the second one. I think maybe both of them we talked about on here. I can't remember. He's good.
I think we talked about
but he's good. But the movies just sucked around him, and when the villains suck, you just can't. You're not going to have a good movie.
Yeah, regardless of how good he was as Spider-Man, he was just not. Those movies were terrible.
Yeah, no. You want to drag these guys back in and have them cameo voices in Spider-Verse 2? Absolutely. You want to have them show up in an episode of What If? Go for it, right? I don't need these guys to come back and do more movies. Right now, Sony and Disney are saying they're going to do more. There's at least a fourth one in some level of talk. But past that, like, there was a trilogy, then there wasn't. Then what the fuck's his name? The Spider-Man's name. I can't remember anyone's name now. Tom Holland. We were getting Tom Holland and Tom Hiddleston mixed up the other day. Tom Holland has said, like, maybe he doesn't want to do acting anymore. He wants to have a family. So, like, who knows what the hell is going to happen in the next couple of years. But to me, this was a great send-off of those characters. They did some incredible course correction on the villains. I mean...
How great was Norman Osborn?
Defoe was great.
So good.
Yeah,
so good.
We have to talk about Green Goblin.
Oh, God. So good.
He's great in that first movie. The costume was kind of always the sticking point, right?
Yeah.
It was a weird Power Ranger-like costume.
That Power Ranger, Power Ranger cosplay thing.
It's just one of those like pre-Iron Man things that wouldn't happen today. But
it's pre 3D printing.
Yeah,
baby.
it just. But that's just how comic book movies were. They were not done by comic people, and so they would do the best they could. And Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 especially, I found they were incredibly accurate for the time. But things like the costume just didn't click.
The costume's garbage.
When he smashes the helmet, I was like, this is not a mistake. Like, this is on purpose, right? Like, and then he puts the hoodie on, and I'm like, where are they going? Oh, that's how they get the kind of stalking, thing. As it gets torn up, you're like, okay. Now he looks like Green Goblin.
And that scene in the apartment when he turns evil.
Where
the spider sense goes off, but he doesn't know why.
Yeah.
That may have been... Look, people will quibble because there's all the big exciting action scenes, but as far as like the dramatic tension of a scene, that may have been the best scene in the movie to me.
I don't think it's a question. He pauses and like everything kind of like gets a little out of focus and like super.
And he's like walking through the.
I mean,
yeah,
because we know it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen, and yet when it happens, that's the thing that I really enjoyed about the movie. At that point, those are the things you know were going to happen, and yet you're still surprised because of how it's given to you. That's what I liked about it.
Well, it's the I think they took what was great about those characters and gave them to us, right? The split personality that Norman Osborn has with Green Goblin. Otto Octavius's, like he's basically pushed aside for the arms, and like the whole like nano suit taking over and pairing and all of that stuff. It was just like, this works, this fits, right? And Peter going, I can help these people. That's where it starts to get really, really, just like, okay, he's going to fix things and, kind of wrap everything up.
Like the nanosuit stuff was funny, but then once it's kind of like destroyed, you're like, oh, he's again now having to rely on himself and his spider powers, and the real Peter Parker now comes out. Doc Ock was great. I still think the best of the villains in the original ones. But he just absolutely kills it in this, and it's a good turn. Like he is going to disappear for a bit, and I don't know if it's like, again, you can nitpick some of the continuity on this. Some of the where they pulled the villains from doesn't really work, and like the timeline and like the whole idea. Magic makes it so it doesn't matter. Like you don't have to explain it because like, oh, magic, so things get wonky. It's the idea that the strangest spell got messed up, so it started to pull people who knew he was Peter Parker into this universe, but Electro did not know he was Peter Parker ever. So magic went wonky. It doesn't matter. If that's going to be a sticking point of a movie doesn't make sense, it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't. That element doesn't bother me.
Hey, we've nitpicked for less on this show.
Oh, absolutely. But I think it's the intent, right?
Yeah.
You have an out with magic that, oh, well, he fought Peter Parker. He was with him. He may not have known him, but the universe decided to pull him in because he had an interaction with him. So let's go with that.
You were talking about the ending, and I really love the ending because it finally got to the Spider-Man that I have wanted for all of the movies.
Right.
And I think it's interesting how they took so the first movie is him and Iron Man. The second movie is him and who else is in that? Nick Fury.
Nick Fury, yeah.
Fury.
And then
Skrull Fury,
yeah.
But Nick Fury.
And so it's almost like this movie was the case of, and I'm saying this in a positive way, like we're going to load so much crap onto this that the fever is going to break. Because it's not only other Marvel character like Doctor Strange and Wong, but all of these other characters. And then finally at the end, it breaks and you end up with the homemade suit, Peter Parker on his own Spider-Man. So on the nitpicking note, because this is really my only big nitpick, and I might be the only one on this. As much as I love the ending, I dislike the beginning, which is it starts with the Jameson revelation from, what was the middle movie called? Yes, thank you, Brock. And then we've got all of these, like the protesters outside his high school, the news cameras outside his apartment, and I'm just watching this going, bullshit. I don't believe this for a second that any of this would be happening, that people would see that on social media and go, oh, okay, and on to the next story. In a world full of superheroes. So this is not a universe where it's just Spider-Man is this crazy news story everyone's obsessed with. A world full of superheroes. I did not believe people are going to take time off their jobs and their lives to go protest outside the local high school because that's where Spider-Man goes to school. And all of this, oh, Mysterio was right, and all the signs and the brick. Like, what are you talking about? Mysterio was around for, 5 days in the timeline of that movie? Who even cares? So the whole first, what would we call it, 10, 15, 20 minutes? I'm not even sure.
Is not that believable.
I was just sinking in my seat, with the exception of the Matt Murdock showing up, which was, again, I was almost levitating at that part. But the rest of it, I'm just like, this is exactly what I dislike about the MCU Spider-Man movies until this point, and we're just going right back into it. Please let this story take a turn. And it did. In fairness, it did.
Well, I think that what they're doing, in essence, with the Mysterio is right, and even in Hawkeye with Thanos is right, is that they're just taking that opposite view that extreme that we've been living in for so long, and applying
the
it.
difference I would say to you is Thanos was a world-altering event. Mysterio was a rando character who's in Europe for part of a school vacation. Like, who are all of these? Why is there suddenly a Mysterio fan club? Who would even give a shit?
In today's society, people get behind
Okay.
some fucked up
All right.
shit.
We'll leave it at that. That's fine. I'll buy that.
Yeah, it didn't really bother me. I think people absolutely would do something like that.
But yeah, they would if Spider-Man was the only superhero. But if you're in a world where half the population's been wiped out and the Avengers have fought alien invasions and all this shit's going on, you're going to go, you know what? I'm calling in sick to work. I'm going out to Midtown High with a sign.
You're like, this kid. I don't like this kid.
I don't like this kid.
Bored parents, man.
Hey, I know exactly. There's something in those Daily Bugle supplement pills
Yeah. Okay,
that Jameson's
there's
trying
the
to
answer.
peddle.
You get a no prize. There's the answer.
Yeah.
They're all
Fix
cute.
it. I magic
They're all J-anon.
That was just legitimately the only part I really disliked. Yes, you can nitpick continuity and stuff, but as far as the storytelling, I was unhappy then and got very happy after that point.
Kevin, was your favorite line in the movie, "I'm a very good lawyer"?
Was it what?
I'm a very good lawyer. How did you do that?
Yes,
He's like,
loved
how did
it.
you do that? I'm a really good lawyer.
Loved it.
I
love that they both have their hand up.
Yeah. And
Well, so the thing is I was spoiled that he was in it.
Oh,
but
man.
But when he comes in, I'm like, yes. And I'm just like so excited. And then that happens. And I'm like.
So I want people to read it too.
Like, it was
again,
amazing.
You misunderstand. I want the Netflix characters to be involved. That's the whole point of these the shows, right? I just didn't think they were going to because it's a different.
Oh, they shot Spider-Man in this movie. They straight put a bullet.
It's the Netflix stuff was different studio, right? It's Marvel Television, different people, and it's on Netflix, right? It's not a Disney thing. So to me, I'm like, I just thought they were just going to abandon it, right? So I love the fact that at least Kingpin and Matt Murdock are in this stuff, and hopefully the rest come over, right?
Well, the thing is they can always tweak it a little because we are dealing with multiversity stuff, so they can tweak it just a tad, right? So it's not necessarily Netflix, but it could be.
I tweeted the other day, and I'll say it on here, obviously, because we're talking spoilers. And Kevin, I want to get your take on this. If Marvel's idea is we got to have a Marvel guy in the Spider-Man movie to still be a kind of a Disney Sony co-production, that's fine. The next movie should be Spider-Man and Daredevil versus Kingpin, right?
Perfect. I mean,
it's a single movie. It's getting away from giant, earth-shattering multiverse space stuff.
Straight street villains.
Just he's down to earth. He's fighting Kingpin with a non-powered costume, just his own wits. Kingpin is people forget Kingpin is a Spider-Man villain first, right? That's where he comes from.
Yep.
So I would love
you let the symbiote simmer a bit.
Please,
right?
God, do not have Venom in the next movie. Look, I have no problem with the Venom, and I like the new movie, right? But I don't need
that much stuff
again. I don't need Venom again.
Ryan, the only downside.
We don't need a Spider-Man 3.
The only downside with your idea is it still then becomes a Marvel team-up movie.
But again, I think you're just not going to get away from it.
I know. Yeah.
I think the idea here is we're going to do a Spider-Man movie, but it's a co-production, so we have to have a Marvel guy in it. Make it Daredevil.
Well, and you know what's exciting?
The next movie will be Venom, and they'll team up with Human Torch.
People will have their issues. I know you don't want to see Iron Fist in the MCU. That Iron Fist.
I have no problem with that Iron Fist. People hate.
I shouldn't have said you pointing at you. I mean, like most people would say that. Whatever people's issues are, and I love Daredevil. Season 2 is a little shaky, but I love that show. Whatever people's issues are, I don't think anybody's going to quibble with Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Deborah Ann Woll as Karen Page are great.
Mm-hmm.
Capital G,
Yes.
great. And I'm happy. I'm so happy for them. I mean, obviously, they're perfectly well off financially, so they don't really need like a cheerleader. But I'm so happy that they get this opportunity to get exposure in the quote unquote real Marvel.
Yeah.
Well, so going back to something in the movie that I was confused by, when Ned portals in the Rami Parker, Tobey Maguire basically says to Ned's mom, "I remember you," or something like. He talks like he knows Ned or he's met Ned before.
I don't remember that.
Who has?
I mean, Ned Leeds in the comics is he's Hobgoblin, right? I mean, he's he's a friend of Peter Parker's. So maybe there is was there a Ned Leeds in
the Raimi movies?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Because that was like when he comes in, he specifically points at Ned's mother and Ned and says, "I know you. I've met you before."
I have no recollection of that.
Well, Brock saw it most recently, so it's probably the most accurate memory of all of us. I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying you're probably right. I don't remember it either.
Like, it was one of those, like, huh? Why did he say that specifically to, Ned's mom in that moment?
Is it that he knew that character from the other universe? Like, is it a wink,
Maybe.
nod to, oh yeah, Norman knows that family and Ned's going to be Hobgoblin? Do you know what I mean?
Maybe.
Is that just a wink and a nod? To the dudes, or is it
maybe like they did a lot of like there's a lot of Easter egg stuff, so it's like I wasn't sure. It was like
I'd have to go back and look at that scene.
Like,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, no. Oh no, that was the Peter. That was when them saying something. I'll look it up.
When the other two Spider-Man come in, I actually was kind of surprised at how they did it. That was actually a pretty low key, mellow scene. I 100% expected them to just straight roll up in a big fight scene, and all of a sudden there's three Spider-Man fighting. So I like that there's actually kind of a slow introduction, and we get a few minutes with them outside of the action, and you actually get some characterization. And again, I got to remind people, and everyone on the Facebook group loves to say how much I hate this stuff. I like humor. I like funny stuff. I like jokes when they are appropriate and good.
Ryan, don't need old man on the porch.
I don't need every Marvel character to be cracking jokes. I don't need Doctor Strange to be cracking jokes. Spider-Man, 3 Spider-Man making jokes? Absolutely. That's Spider-Man. He should be. In fact, they generally don't in the movies, which is a little frustrating. I want him making a bunch of jokes as he's fighting people. He kind of doesn't. So I liked that they had a number of funny scenes with them, and they were very funny. I love the whole just the all the web shooter stuff when he's like refill the cartridge, right? Like that whole sequence is great.
It's a pain.
Yeah, there was really funny sequences between them, and they all
come out of anywhere else.
Yeah, it was very funny.
I found something on the Easter egg site. Apparently, it's because remember they cut to that stuff that's on the wall in the house, and it's all those little weapons.
Yeah.
You go. Oh, yeah. I guess just because it's so fresh for me. That's also harkens back to the web, like it's and there was the sewing machine with the thing that was green and gold. I think it's just nods to Ned Leeds being Hobgoblin, and most likely
he says in one of the later scenes he was like, "Oh, it's not like I'll ever become a villain or anything like that." I mean, they say that, so that clearly was a reference of a joke for him.
Well. Apparently, there's a sticker on Ned's laptop that said "This is fine," dog, and it's taken from a 2013 webcomic called On Fire by Casey Green.
Yes. You don't have to explain one of the most popular memes ever made. Literally had it as his background 40 minutes ago.
There you go.
Yes, this is fun. Yes, okay. Every person on Earth knows what this is.
Yeah, I mean, come on, dude.
I didn't know the name.
Was that a reference to something?
That they're just talking about the Easter eggs that have been dropped in it, like.
But where he specifically says, "Oh, I'll never become a villain," or "I'm not a bad. I will never become. I couldn't become a bad guy," something like that. Yeah, that is a joke because in the comics he does. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, he'll become a bad guy in the next few movies because he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember Peter. At this point,
enough Ultimates. Does the Ultimate Ned Leeds?
I don't know.
Hobgoblin, because this is sort of like that version of the character is kind of like a mix of a few different characters. It's not really Ned Leeds, so I'm trying to remember if.
No, it's Harold. It's Harold Osborn.
Well, Harry Osborn is Green Goblin too.
No, it's Harold. Who? In Ultimate, it's Harold.
So
Osborn.
Harry is Hobgoblin in Ultimates.
Yeah, it's Harold.
Harry
Osborn
Harry, right?
From
that's
1610.
Okay.
That's Harry. So it's not
Hobgoblin. Okay, I never read enough of the later Ultimate stuff. I don't know what they end up doing with them.
Well, what I liked was the little nod to kind of the different, to the different things in Spider-Man. The different, like when it talked about, he goes to that one spot, right, to think and reflect, and how, one had the Chrysler Building, one had the Empire State Building, but the one that Peter goes to, Tom Holland's character goes to, is the ultimate one, which is the top of the high school. Right, because in Ultimate Spider-Man, that's where that Peter always went, was like the top of the high school. So it was nice to kind of see that little like nod to that, universe there, because those Ultimate books are really, really good.
Yeah, there's so much of the Ultimate stuff I never read past the first couple of years, but I mean, I know the movies have drawn from all the different versions of Spider-Man, obviously, but yeah, a lot of Ultimate stuff in there too.
Well, and I like the nod to Miles in the movie when Jamie Foxx is talking to Andrew Garfield. Right. And then they say, there's probably one out there.
Of course.
It's like, everybody's like, yeah, we know there's one out there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been, one of the things Tom Holland said, he said all sorts of quotes about whether he wants to continue to do the role and maybe they should bring in Miles or Spider-Gwen or something like that. So there's or Spider-Woman, whoever. So there's lots of options to continue the Spider-Man universe without him if they want. I think they'll get one more out of him probably, but I wouldn't expect him to sign up for a whole other trilogy or anything. But yeah, it would be a little annoying to finally have Spider-Man and then that's where it ends. It would be a little frustrating, but I pretty confident we'll continue to get Spider-Man movies, regardless of who's under the mask, for quite some time.
Unfortunately, instead of Spider-Man and Daredevil against the Kingpin, a next one you will probably get Spider-Man versus Morbius or Venom or whoever else Sony has in the locked and loaded.
And Morbius. So it is weird, right? Because, well, again. Are you not spoiling yourself on Morbius? Do you want to keep your Morbius?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't give a shit. I watched the trailer for Morbius.
Right.
I avoid trailers. I avoid trailers for things I am sure I will see.
Yeah. So,
well, there was one trailer you couldn't avoid.
So there's stuff in the Morbius trailer, right? The show Spider-Man and the Daily Bugle and stuff. So as of right now, there is no Spider-Man in the Venom / Morbius universe, but in Morbius they also have in the trailer it shows
Vulture, right?
Which is
Vulture.
So it's very very unsure where this takes or how this works.
You're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, because Vulture's in the MCU. So,
but they make you believe that. I mean, in this Spider-Man, when they talked about all the stuff that went on in San Francisco, like there was a Venom.
Yeah, they very easily could have Venom and Morbius. Well, the end credit with Venom, he goes back, right? He's at the end of Venom vs. Carnage, he's brought here, and then he goes back at the end of this movie. So that
but in this movie they talked about. I mean, that Venom probably is. I mean, obviously the Venom, Tom Hardy Venom, is not the same one. But they said, yeah, we haven't had anything this crazy since that outbreak in San Francisco. So there was a comment about the Venom stuff, even though it may not be the same Venom.
I would very much like them to just say Multiverse and Norman Osborn, Otto Octavius, these guys are Sandman, Elektra, they're all here. They all start to pop up, and they're like, oh, I guess they left, but that was the other version. I have my own version of these guys too. Oh, and you don't have to go through like the whole rigmarole of like introducing every villain again. They're kind of just here. I will say, and it has been a while since I saw the Amazing Spider-Man 2, so I can't recall if they do it in that. But I just said Elektra, so it made me remember. I like how. Although his costume does not really have anything to do with Electro, when he uses his powers, I don't know if you could tell, but it actually lights up the star, kind of star thing around his face. Yeah, so like the electric bolts sort of shoot out like his costume. And I'm like, good, perfectly fine. Yes, I'll take that. That works. That totally works. But I mean, it is hard. I just assume that when they were first starting this movie, the talk was this is it between Disney and Sony, and Spider-Man was going to head over to the Sony universe after this. I would really hope they just find a way to like. It's like the old X-Men X-Men New Teen Titans crossover, where they're just like, oh yeah, the X-Men, yeah, they're right over there, yeah, the New Mutants, yep, or the New Teen Titans, yep, they're just right there. It's fine. We don't have to ever acknowledge it again, but they're just here. So I don't mind that they're going back to their universes, but I would also like them to just like, maybe
show up. They're
just there because that's what the multiverse can do. So,
well, it's one of those things where like, I mean, Sony's not dumb.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to make money hand over fist regardless. So it's better to work with than against in this case, right? And just because that's the thing is despite not having Venom staying in this universe, something Venom E is left in this universe, right? Like you also have things like there was a Scorpion cameo in Homecoming. Like, so there's a lot of like
Shocker, right? They were both in the early in Homecoming.
Well, Shocker was in Homecoming, but the Scorpion was at the end credit scene.
I fought a giant mechanical rhino.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a Russian. It was better, Scott. I think he said it's a Russian guy in a rhinoceros machine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But hey, everybody! Spoiler alert! What is this? The third biggest box office opening?
Yeah.
Second now? Okay.
It is now 260 million domestic opening, cleared 340 international.
Okay. So all of the talk about theatrical's dead. Everybody during COVID has learned that they're just going to watch at home. The movies are dead. Let's close down the theaters. Okay. There is no studio in this universe or any universe out there in the multiverse who's going to say, ooh, the second biggest opening of all time? Okay, cool. We're done with Spider-Man. Let's put a pin in it. Cool.
No, of course. Well, that's what I said. Tom Holland could say he's done with it until Sony and Disney back up multiple trucks filled with cash, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, Spider-Man will never be done. Batman will never be done. The actors will come and go, but these are like the biggest film franchises like ever. there will be more Avengers movies. There will be more Iron Man movies. They're just not going to stop this stuff. There will just be, breaks and new actors. And
I mean, what we're transitioning into now in the MCU is the not quote unquote young Avengers, but it's just going to be the new Avengers, right? Like, I mean, that's what we're transitioning to. That's what we've seen with Falcon Winter Soldier, with Hawkeye, with Loki, kind of. I mean, like at some point, but with all of these things, we've just watched. All right, the mantle's being passed. We're moving on. We're having different characters, and we're going to see where this goes, right? Like, their bad will be Galactus. Like, who knows, right? Like,
I mean, there's talk of Thunderbolts, right? I mean, there's talk of Thunderbolts. There's talk of Dark Avengers. Yeah, the new Avenger kids or the young Avengers clearly seem like that's a TV show thing, right? That's going to be the Disney Plus is going to be the Young Avengers, which this makes sense. I mean, Jeremy Renner's done all the original Avenger guys except for Thor done, and we'll get one more out of him, and that'll probably be it. So I mean.
No, we got Mackie.
He wasn't in. He was. I mean, he's not one of the main guys. So I think what's his face, Hulk. He's the only one that I think is still scheduled to do stuff because he's going to be in She-Hulk, and they're just there's going to be new people, there's going to be new characters, but I just don't think we're going to get not soon, but they will eventually recast these characters, and new people will come in. That they have to. They're always going to. And Spider-Man 2 is easy because Sony can just go,
Multiverse.
We'll do our own thing, right? If we really want to, they don't have to have it in Marvel. They should, but they don't have to. So,
yeah, but if they have it in Marvel, it makes more
plus
money.
You're going to have that animated Spider-Man, right, on the Disney.
Yeah. Yep.
The freshman year, is that what it's called?
Yeah. So
you were going to say the Fresh Prince, and
so I'm definitely okay with them continuing to they'll recast everyone eventually.
I was just so excited to see Matt Murdock. I had no idea that was coming, and I was like, an audible F yeah from me.
If there's one thing Disney has done, it's casting. Their casting for every person's basically perfect. There's they've done a really good job of casting a bunch of unknowns. I'm a little bit so when I see them casting, like, who the fuck they cast as Eros?
Harry Styles.
Yeah, I'm like
Harry Styles.
You're like, I was like, really, Harry Styles?
And Lady Gaga was talking about.
Hey, that's like saying Patterson is Batman and Bruce Wayne.
But he's an actor.
Harry's a singer.
It's just a weird. Yeah. It's just a weird that. You guys are better than that. You don't.
Although
Jamie Foxx,
tell you this: Justin Timberlake is a pretty good actor. He was.
Yeah, they can be, but I just. Yeah, it's a weird.
Well, Ryan, think of it this way: if you're going to cast Harry Styles as any character in the MCU, isn't Star Fox like the perfect place to just shunt him off to the side?
Sure. I can't expect he'll be in too much, right?
Right.
Yeah. I guess. But like,
if they cast him as Nova, then I would understand your.
But I don't want to watch a movie with Harry Styles and Lady Gaga and fucking like James Corden and fucking.
You just laid out the new Warriors cast. Come on.
Like some just not. Like the great thing, most of the actors have been, obviously Robert Downey Jr. was different, but a lot of the actors are just kind of unknowns, and they've done a great job, with Vincent D'Onofrio is not an unknown, but perfect casting, right?
Yeah.
Robert
Downey Jr. is not an unknown, but you can't cast someone better, right? I mean, these guys are just perfect. So.
Well, same with Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, it's strange. Like, he's not really an unknown.
He wasn't. I mean, we knew him. He was not a megastar, though. Like Cumberbatch was not like a household name.
That was when he was coming up,
he was not a household name. and again, these people have all had roles; they're all actors, but they weren't casting like the biggest. Oh, I mean, even like Tom Cruise. I've talked about like Tom Cruise being and stuff, and I'm like, see fucking Tom Cruise in any of these movies? No.
Well, he fits the profile of Chris's and Tom's.
No, get him out of here. I don't want Tom Cruise in this movie, in any of these Marvel movies. So yeah, I just feel like I hope they stay away from that type of stunt casting. It just doesn't. I just don't like it. Yeah. I mean, we don't have like 3 hours of us aging at each, or 3 hours of us screaming at each other. He's super paranoid about movie theaters right now. So I don't know what his Toby.
He said he was going to try to see it this week.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay.
Well, everybody's. I mean, I think if it's a movie that brings people back to theaters, like this would be the movie that does it. But again, I think also people are still hesitant. Like, ticket prices on movies have gone up.
Apparently not that many people are hesitant.
Well, no, but the thing is the price of tickets has gone up. So there is that where we might not have as many people as we used to, but the ticket price is going up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's kind of a lost number in there of unknowns. Like I didn't see it opening day or Thursday at whatever time we finally got around to getting into a theater. I did look at theaters during the weekend, but again, nothing was. All of the spaces were taken. I'm like, there was no place where I could be like, oh, I can sit here and nobody's going to be around me and have at least some distance, right? Like,
I hate to tell you guys, I've been to Utah, I've been to Texas. People that don't listen to us from here are like, what the hell are you talking about? Honestly. I mean,
I saw plenty of screenshots of people in fully packed movie theaters and no one wearing masks, and I'm just like,
this
good luck.
Our Bay Area issue, and that's it. So it's not. I mean, I shouldn't generalize. I think there's probably other people that are cautious too, but still, I mean, it's like honestly, where we were in Austin, where we were in St. George, Utah, dude, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So.
Man, those Omicron numbers though
are almost no different than ours, to be honest. I mean, that's the hard part about doing it. It's like, we're cautious and safe, and their numbers aren't that different than ours.
Yeah, but you're also in Utah.
Ryan,
in the Bay Area.
Ryan, the world is wondering. the world is wondering, and I don't know the answer. So substitute me in for the world. Did you publish your latest ranking of the MCU movies?
No, I had started to put the shows in. But that's difficult because I find they're very up and down. So I might strip those out and re-add. I mean, this is the best of the three. I think by far is the best of the three.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put this up with Winter Soldier and Infinity War. But it's up high on the list. Yeah. I mean, solid A. It's a ton of fun. Any nitpicky problems I kind of just glossed over. The continuity of it, I don't care. I don't care about the continuity of the Amazing Spider-Man movie to this movie. Like
none of that matters.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. It's leave that to comic book resources articles that will tell me the top 5 things wrong with this movie.
Top 15.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was just very fun. It had a ton of heart. It fixed. I mean, it really just fixed every problem I had with the MCU Spider-Man, with the characters in the other movies. It was just also very fun and very funny. It flew by. It just flew by. I know you could, Kevin, like you said. I understand some people may not like the beginning of it. It sort of is a different movie for a little while, but it's the motivation for why things happen. So I think it's important. I never felt like, come on, this is just dragging. It was 2.5 hours, but it was could just clip by.
it wasn't that it was dragging. I never felt that the movie was too long.
Nope.
It was just I never felt that they laid the track that the world would consider Spider-Man a villain.
No, never. Not once.
That was my problem with the beginning.
Yeah.
Not that it was too long. I just didn't buy it. But once you kind of sweep past that and he goes to Doctor Strange, then it gets really cooking. So yeah, I don't publish the rankings like you do after each movie, so I don't know where I place this, but damn, the highest compliment I could pay to Willem Dafoe, he was so good. It makes me want to go back and watch that first Raimi Spider-Man movie, which I probably haven't seen in that came out in 2001.
I haven't seen it since 2002.
I agree with you, Scott. I probably haven't either.
Right,
the first one.
Right.
It's been a long time since I've
and then I
watched
probably saw it once on DVD, Blu-ray.
Yeah, but God, he was so good in this.
Yeah, when he turns,
and he
creepy.
Gives the line about gods don't choose, they take.
And you're like, oh, geez. That got serious
subtle.
real fast.
It's that subtle, like his face just does that subtle change, right? That subtle change from like this is Norman, and this is you're no longer dealing with Norman.
Smile
like
comes in, and you're like, wow, that was so good.
Yeah, it's like that. It's just that like, just it and he does it so well. And I think that like with his character, especially them breaking the shitty costume, that mask, and then having a natural more Green Goblin-esque costume just naturally unfold in this. I think again,
at first, I honestly have to say, I was like, dude, they're going Ben Reilly with this. They're giving him a ripped up hoodie. And then,
a little bit. Yeah. Close. I do love the fact that they had the something of a scientist myself line that has become an internet favorite in recent years. So I'm happy they were able to squeeze that in.
Yeah. Gosh, we're kind of all in agreement. It's got somebody to throw a grenade or a pumpkin bomb into the proceedings.
I think in context of the MCU movies, this is going to be high up. It's not going to be at like you said, Winter Soldier level or at an Infinity War level, or even at Avengers when we first saw it, not after years and years and years later. But it's definitely a movie that I think really does a good job of giving us, closure in some things and leaving things open for us to go forward, especially with a character that I think for a lot of people is a solid Spider-Man that they've come to enjoy and really just get behind and care about. Because even from the beginning, when we saw him in Civil War, he was that kind of jittery, quibby kind of kid. But I think what you said, Ryan, about him lacking that Parker-esque, great power comes great responsibility feel was missing. And that's because I think he didn't experience loss, right? Like all of the other ones experienced loss. He hadn't experienced it yet. And when he finally does, like, that's when the character comes out and comes into his own. So
yeah, I legitimately, I was like, oh, she survived getting hit by the Goblin guy. That's pretty. Oh, they're killing Aunt May. Oh, she's their Uncle Ben now. Oh shit! I did not see that coming.
That was a surprise for me too.
Yeah, really did not see that coming.
I will say the only thing that I didn't like happened right at the beginning of when Doctor Strange. Dude, Doctor Strange is not that dumb. I'm sorry. He's not going to just go tinker around some world-altering spell. That's the one thing I was like, Hey,
it's blip fatigue.
Do you know what I mean? That was the one. That was my beef. Maybe not as much as the front end. The spider hating, I'll blame that on J. Jonah Jameson. Because how many people must read his little articles?
Well, they show, right? I mean, when he's first there, he's in like in a dingy basement, like with his little green screen, and then a few scenes later, he's like in like a full studio, right? So clearly,
Like,
yeah,
he's the Alex
Yeah.
Jones of this
Exactly.
of the
Yeah,
MCU.
yeah.
Oh, also got to shout out the basement at the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yes.
Where MJ picks up the goatee shaper.
Yeah.
Because you look at that Doctor Strange goatee and you just go like, how would you, other than magic, how would you shave that so precisely? And then there's the box right there in the basement.
I don't think I saw.
Oh yeah, she lifts it up and she's
Yeah.
like reading the back of the box. It's like the goatee.
Well, wait, was it a shaver thing or was it just dying?
I thought it was a shaper.
Yeah.
Is it shaper or was it just hair
No,
dye?
it says I will try to find the image for you guys. Anyway, we don't have to pause the show for this. So roll on. I'll get back to it.
That's fine.
All right, find it.
Yeah. And credits fun.
I mean, my daughter was crying during this movie. During this scene, like those scenes, like towards the end where it was like very emotional and stuff. Like she was straight crying.
When Tom Holland catches MJ falling off the building, a little bit of redemption.
Not Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Garfield.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield. Yeah, that kind of redemption.
That's actually something interesting to bring up because I've talked with a few people who are like, I never saw the Amazing Spider-Man movies, or I haven't seen them. I haven't watched. Like, I saw the first one once.
I haven't seen 2, and I don't remember.
But even
like
I have a friend that was like, "Oh, I saw like the first Spider-Man movie in like 2001, but I saw all the MCU movies. Like, would I like these? I think mostly, yeah, but you're gonna miss out on a couple things like that. But I wouldn't go watch Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2
because then you'll
just
be like,
to know
trash.
Just to know why he gets a little bit emotional when he catches MJ, right?
Hey, I want to go watch them just because.
I mean, that's fine. They're just not good.
I didn't say they were good. They don't have to be good. The fact is that this movie is doing what comic books do for a lot of readers. Is like you'll read something and then you'll go back and read stuff that's connected to it, right? Stuff that's brought up. It might be complete and utter trash or a reference from some random freaking issue, right? But you will go and read it. And you'll be like, well, that was that, but it sends you back, and I think that's where the movie does a really good job of kind of emulating what it's kind of like to read,
stuff that was
jump into comic books
and forget about the stuff that was bad, because they're only reminding you of good stuff.
If you don't know it's bad, then this might not make that much sense. But if you watch it and go, oh, that's pretty bad, and they fix it here, that's a different story.
So I remember when we left, Leanne said one of the parts that made her kind of mad was she said that she was like, "Oh, MJ and what's his name?
Tom Holland.
Ned were like, we want to remember you. Come find us. Come tell us, right?" And he doesn't. And to me, I'm like, I kind of think of this from two different perspectives. One, I'm like, well, he understands that, he just causes them nothing but pain. There's still ways he can tell them down the road,
That's
right?
Perfect Spider-Man. That's
right, exactly.
Spider-Man.
But I also have another idea, another reason. You think they're getting Zendaya for a fourth movie? I don't think so. I think she's done. They make multiple references in this movie to the fact that she's not Mary Jane. It may not be the most PC thing in the world to replace her, but I could see them if they got new supporting actors, especially if they recast Tom Holland, to actually bring in Mary Jane, right? Because this is another character. She's a perfectly fine character, but she's not Mary Jane, right? It's this other character they created for these movies. So a small part of me wonders, like, I think they may just be playing this safe because, like, they're not going to be able to afford Zendaya anymore. Like, she's a megastar. Like, she's out, right?
Well, aren't her and Tom actually dating?
Sure, I'm sure. So
isn't it like
I'm
a package deal now? So they'd have to back up double the
these things usually always last.
Oh yeah.
So I would. they can very easily bring her back and bring her and explain everything. But I think it's a good out if she's done. So,
well, so going back to that the end where he comes and he sees them and he's rehearsing his lines and all that stuff, and he's gonna talk to him, and then he doesn't. Right? He decides not to, and he kind of he leaves them. To me, that harkened back to what happened at the first Spider-Man movie, where Peter walks away from Mary Jane at the end of the film, and everybody, even though they're at Norman Osborn's funeral, and I remember when I left the theater, and people that like didn't really read comics asked me, why is he walking away from her? Like, why is he walking away? And I said, because he's trying to protect the people he cares about. But it didn't really come across because it was Norman, like it just didn't work in that sense. But I think here is where it worked, right? Where he acknowledges the pain that he's brought, and he can kind of shield them from that. And that's what he's sacrificing that, despite the fact that that she said, come find me. So
yeah, I mean, I'm sure people will go through this with a fine-tooth comb and be like, this is a homage to this, and this is a reference to this. Like, I mean, just.
Do you read comics?
I do. I read quite a few.
Yeah. Have you seen comic book covers? Did you see the Deadpool Danger Girl homage cover that was out for they do this all the time.
With the movies, I'm like, sometimes it's clear, but all the stuff like this, I'm like, yeah, that's okay. Like, I'm trying to focus on that type of stuff. So I gave my idea: Spider-Man and Daredevil versus Kingpin. Where do you go with the Spider-Man 4, Brock? Where do you
go? Honestly, with Spider-Man 4, it would be something like, that would be the natural thing if you were kind of doing the same team up thing. I think you could expand something with the Scorpion. You can bring in potentially the Chameleon. You could dive into characters that we haven't seen yet from Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery, because he has such a large Rogues Gallery to begin with, and we've only seen a handful of those characters. So I think it would be refreshing if we got something a little different, that wasn't, something that we'd already seen. And again, expand out on things like, what is it? Expand on like the symbiotes that was left in the universe. Expand out on.
Well, do you want Venom to be the villain?
Do I want Venom? No, I don't want Venom to be the villain. Yeah. So, no, I don't want Venom to be the villain. I want that to kind of be something that it like is teased at the end of the next movie, like where we get more of like, oh, look, this is the symbiote has found a host now or something. Like, build it up a little bit more. Don't just dump it out right away. I don't know with Mobius where that's going to tie in, or Morbius living on her. We don't know.
Morbius. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with Morbius.
Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
So, like,
when is that? January or February or something?
So I sent all of you guys the goatee picture on Facebook. I couldn't put it in the Zoom chat.
Yeah, I got it. It's a goatee template. But yeah, I think that I would like it if they kind of gave us some space from the MCU. Keep it there, but don't
street villains,
huh? Yeah, like give us build something else, like kind of. I don't want to use this, but brand new Deus, right? Like, give us
so you want
something.
So you want Scorpion, Chameleon.
He wants the Sinister Six.
Who did you say? Venom, but not Venom. You listed like 9 things. Kevin, what do you want? What Spider-Man 4? Spider-Man 4. What do you want?
How's that 9 things?
Man, I like your idea, but I want it to continue where this movie ended. I want homemade costume, Parker on his own, struggling to make a paycheck, stopping bank robbers, and maybe a rando. Chameleon would be not necessarily that character in particular, but that size of a villain. I just don't think they're ever going to, because once you've gone to this, how are you going to go to that? There's a problem.
Yeah.
It's like once the Avengers have fought Thanos, are you going to then come back and have them fight the Lava Men in the next movie? I mean, you're just not going to go to that. So I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately, but that would be my wish. Jameson terrorizing him. Parker taking photos for Jameson privately. You bring in like Robbie Robertson. Bring in Gwen Stacy. You know, I basically want the Romita Gil Kane era Spider-Man just in the movies.
Well, that suit was very like
the blue one at the end
color.
Yeah,
like
that one.
The one at the end was very comic book color.
Scott, what do you want?
Well, I just saw Matt Murdock and the Kingpin within like 2 days, and my mind exploded. So that's a no-brainer. I want those guys. I want Luke Cage to come in and save the day at the end and just punch out some guy. So that would be awesome.
And they could. I mean, just because it's not a cosmic level threat, Kingpin is fucking scary if done right. Like, if every mobster in town coming for Spider-Man is a good movie, so I would have no problem. Yeah, I'd have no problem with that. I do want something Earthbound. I want something more.
I would like it to be more street. I mean, I thought that was a really.
Let's get some Stiltman in there.
Scott, I agree with you. I would rather see Spider-Man as a TV series, a streaming series. I don't even know if you can call it TV anymore. A streaming series than a single movie.
I mean, I can imagine your next movie being. I mean, you want to see Stiltman? He's going to take out Stiltman or the Gibbon in the first. That
hell yeah,
the precursor credits. He's going to knock a leg off and take him out and
just give me Frogman and a White Rabbit and I'm good. So,
well, but hey, if they they could go and do the Superior Foes. Get us some Beetle in there.
All kidding aside, you know who would be a legit scary villain done right in live action that's not an earth-shattering threat? The Jackal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we get clones. You don't clones.
Have to go there.
That's where they go.
It is. I mean, it's interesting where you can think about going on a street level. There's just more direction. Than you can, supersizing it. So
yeah.
I mean, and that's why Spider-Man's been popular for so long.
And it's not like the Marvel shows have remained street level. I mean, look at Loki, right? I mean, they've gone crazy. That was the thing, we didn't do our me and Brock did our Shang-Chi kind of re-review after we watched it. I think we were the only two on, but. Kevin, I think you kind of agree with when we did the big review. When it's just him in San Francisco, it's fun, and even when he's in Japan, China. When he's in the fight club nightclub thing, that's cool. But when it's all of a sudden we're in Magic China Land, it's you've lost me. This is just not what I wanted.
So I saw Shang-Chi again with a friend of mine who hated it. He thought it was boring and dumb, and he doesn't like the Pokemon in it.
It's just
two different movies.
Right.
And I much
liked all that stuff, dude.
I wish I had just seen the first movie.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can do, and even look, for the most part, Ant-Man is crazy going to the quantum realm and all this crap, but Ant-Man is a surprisingly down to earth movie for the most part, right? And so they've done it in the Marvel movies too. So they don't, they get big kind of in the back chapter in the final chapter, but
I mean, it's really on the nose. You saying Ant-Man is good at going small.
All right, I think that's it. Unless we got any last minute. We'll see.
It.
Well, are we going to discuss the trailer that everyone was forced to watch?
I was so bitter about that.
You could have laughed. You didn't have to laugh.
But I know, but I didn't realize what it was until it was rolling.
Like 30 seconds in, you're like, oh shit, no.
This is actually a really good question. So I guess we did have the Multiverse of Madness trailer. And that's not the first time they've done that.
Teaser? Is it a teaser?
Yeah, teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a teaser trailer.
Do you think
like a
so? Is that supposed to be the same evil Doctor Strange from What If?
Yes.
Do you think there's any chance in hell they assume you've watched What If?
No. That will be reintroduced in the movie.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I assume it'll just he's not just going to pop up and they're going to be like, oh, from the What If episode.
Yes.
Like it will be
captions like they do in
this cartoon turned human.
They'll put a caption on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
in the bottom corner of the movie screen.
I also assume that like a lot of these things, there is absolutely zero chance that you will have to have seen that episode of What If to know what that is, because it's not an alternate universe thing. It's just here's a magic evil Doctor Strange that pops up for a second. But they don't really. You get like, I mean, we knew Wanda was going to be in it, and you get like a half a second shot of Shumagorath or something that might be Shumagorath, and we get
America.
You get the back of America Chavez out. She's in this movie for some reason.
I didn't get that. I missed that.
Girl with America star hot pants and coat, and then you get half a second of evil Doctor Strange. So I mean, there's no context for it. There's no idea there's nothing in this movie. There's no story provided within the trailer. So it's just some cool scenes, I guess.
I just would love if they completely.
I'm just like, man, there's more scenes in here that's going to make Ryan want to vomit.
I love Doctor Strange, and I want Doctor Strange to go balls crazy. I want it to be weird. I want it to be scary. I want it to be all over the place.
We thought you were okay with that Inception shit.
I mean, it's a little nauseating, but it's awesome. They did it in this too. There's definitely a scene where like he sort of starts to like spiral out.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And I was like, it's great. It's cool.
See, we need a Patreon level where if we get there, you bring a camera just to watch your face.
It's not the whole movie, right? Spider-Verse, just the whole fucking movie's like off frame rate and just constantly like my eyes were like killing me. This was just like one quick shot, so it doesn't bother me quite as much. Inception is awesome. Fuck, that's one of my favorite movies. I love Inception. It's amazing. It's just on a big theater screen. It's a little like stomach churning. So. Yeah. I'm very, very. But hey, well, they moved Winter Soldier. They moved Doctor Strange to May, I believe, right? So I think they realized this is going to be a big hit. The first one was kind of not, right? Like Ant-Man, it did well, but it didn't really do like big numbers.
Well, but I think it's
I think Doctor Strange didn't do well because it was so far into the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we were like. We've gotten this thing before. You're not showing us
phase one.
You're just kind of throwing,
So just
you're throwing us. You're throwing us like it should have been a phase.
But now
one
we're like knee deep in like continuity, and craziness.
Yeah, and it was like okay, you're giving us a cookie cutter like thing and throwing a different character in. Like, come on, guys, like give us something. So I'm excited for this in that it has potential to give us more. And
I
something
think it's going to be big.
super cool.
Yeah. All right. That is it. We're done. Thank you. If you guys enjoyed it, Spider-Man, jump on the Facebook forum and tell us.
Are you guys? Yeah. I mean, I legitimately think that this movie is going to catapult.
It's going to win Oscars, according to my next Oscars. Multiple Oscars.
A lot of slime getting thrown at this movie.
Thank you. To our top tier Patreon backers, Joe Duff, Kelsey May, Craig Anderson at clearpathcoaches.com, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast, and Talon Bray. Thank you all very, very much for your continued support.
Thank you guys.
Patreon.com.
Especially enjoying my butchered version of that last time.
I didn't even listen. I just put the episode up.
Oh, everyone's like, he's going to cut the end and do his own. I'm like, no, he's not.
Put it up. I just put it up.
Oh, it was horrid.
Patreon.com/ComicConspiracy. You can find out. This is why I write it down. See, it's much easier.
Yeah, like you could have sent me the notes and been a nice guy, but no.
Go to ComicConspiracyPodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify for all the previous episodes. You can pick up some books. Too late for Christmas, sorry, but you can also buy stuff at comicsconspiracy.biz. It's our storefront for all our physical comics. We'll ship them to you. Well, you can also pick them up at the store if you would like. Still got
And we have some books.
Still got a couple days of Christmas. Yeah, we ended up discounting out a bunch of our variant covers, and we're going to have more stuff going up there soon in Cell Tab, so check that out. Head over to conspiratobrock.com. That's Brock's blog, pull list videos, unboxing videos coming soon. More new content coming soon from Brock.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Wanderers of the Fourth Dimension podcast. That's Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. And check out Kevin's weekly interview series called Between the Panels at fanbasepress.com. Don't forget to go to leannehill.com. That's my wife Leanne's website, and you can find out all her art at etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt. If you're on Twitter, you can follow all of us. We haven't quit Twitter, unlike all those quitters that quit Twitter. Ryan Higgins Ryan is me. Brock's Brock Sager. Toby's Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos, although they don't really use Twitter that often. Kevin is at Kevin Sharp. The store is Comics Con Store. Sky, I don't believe he uses it.
CS Shea.
Yeah, but he doesn't really use it. CS Shea.
And
check out Geekbox. Bi-weekly episodes talking about nerdy crap. I was not on this last episode. Again, I was super, super fucking sick last week, but we're recording next week for post-Christmas episode. Should be okay. And our good friends over at Manga Machinations. Thank you all very much for listening to this episode. We'll catch you next week. Oh, we'll catch you.
Merry Christmas.
Sorry, no, I take that back. We will more than likely not catch you next week. We will catch you in January 2022 for our best of episode of the best of 2021. It's a shitty year, but there was some good stuff in it. We'll find some stuff to talk about. See you later.